Dual Language Education and Society by Maria Becerra for Bilingual Education Course 5335. There are many positive and negative views that dual language education has obtained by many people from society. Some of the positive views that I was able to capture from the lesson and the videos were that dual language education expands a child's cognitive abilities. It allows students to be more marketable in the future, career-wise, that is. This allows dual language education allows for students to speak their mother language, which may have been lost from generation to generation. Students tend to score higher in state tests than those students that go through the regular ESL courses. And lastly, students tend to learn English better than those who attend ESL courses. This itself was pretty surprising to me, being that my district works solely with ESL, English as a second language. So I can now see where the benefits come with a dual language education program. Now, looking at the negative views, which were a bit disturbing, because they not only came from people who believe that English should be the only language spoken in the United States, but these came from parents who whose child is learning a different language. So, looking at the negative views, many see that English should be the only language spoken in the United States. Learning English to many parents of those whose primary language is not English uh, believe that the student will lose their native or primary language. There is a belief that the dual language education curriculum will confuse the student going from one language to another, um, thus affecting the student's learning when it gets taught in a different language. So there's various negatives, but I saw more positives and still continue to support personally the dual language education. With the negatives and the positives, the pros and cons, which outweigh the most? I personally believe the pros. Uh, there's just so much more gains from students, and hopefully with the course, I will be able to identify, the exact gains that students will obtain and how they obtain them with the curriculum. I'm like I mentioned before, I'm so used to the ESL program where they only get 45 minutes of uh, support. So for a middle school, they have 8 courses, and having to see them only have that 45-minute support time uh, to me is not adequate enough for them to gain that linguistic ability to learn the English language. They do have very little amounts of time available to them, given to them, and there's really not much that can happen within those 45 minutes. Although they do it for 5 days straight, the 45 minutes I believe is not enough to allow them to gain the grasp of the English language and how to use it in their various courses. There are some monolingual teachers that only teach social studies and math, and they can't communicate well. And with the dual language education program, this gives the child that ability to have teachers who speak their native language, allow them to teach them and uh, provide that extra support needed to ensure a successful learning experience. Because there are some negatives, we must find out how can a dual language education be successful. From not only the lesson or the videos, but from my fellow teachers and their posts, their introductions, parent involvement seemed to be one of the main aspects. Uh, Parents need to be present with their children's education. Children need to know that what they're learning is important to their parents. Having full support of a school's administration is ultimately very important. Teachers must know that what they're teaching is being 100% supported by the administration. It's not just uh, a cover to show that they're doing something different, showing diversity, but that they truly do want this child to succeed, want the children to succeed. Of course, with that, it does require funding. Um, Being able to acquire the funding needed to provide these children with the supports needed. The teachers themselves, provide them with the tools they need to ensure that the students uh, get provided a uh, up to par curriculum is strongly important, which leads to providing that enriched curriculum that coincide with one another to support the dual language education goals.